To all of you. My name is Shubhro and my team members, Abhishek Jain and Abhishek Bohara. Tonight, we are going to present our analysis on Coromandel International Limited, which is a subsidiary of the Murugappa Group. And our entire presentation is going to be based on one single word, buy. My team members are going to walk you through the reasons behind our buy recommendation at a target price of rupees 397, which translates to a 36% of upside from the current market price within a time horizon of 18 months. And the points and the reasons behind our buy recommendations would be a high margin, the increased focus of the company towards high margin non-subsidy based business, a strong management and a sound corporate governance, market leadership and the brand recognition together with the cost efficiency and the backward linkages that the company is having. Now in our presentation, our basic objective would be to building upon all these points and establish beyond any reasonable doubt that you should invest in this particular company. Now let us move ahead with the company's overview. The overall business of CIL can broadly be classified into two parts, subsidy and the non-subsidy based business, where the subsidy based business is currently contributing 77% of the overall EBITDA. But going forward, we are expecting, as per company's long-term view of diversifying its product portfolio towards the non-subsidy based business as an hedge against the ever-changing government subsidy policy. We are expecting a 44% of EBITDA contribution by FY14 from the non-subsidy based business compared to the current 23% of EBITDA contribution. Going ahead with the industry overview, the agricultural sector of the country can broadly be characterized with a constant arable land, inefficient farm practices and imbalanced usage of fertilizer in terms of lack of phosphatic fertilizer use than the optimum level. All these factors together with a growing population of the country gives a lot of growth potential to the fertilizer industry as a whole, which is further aided by the favorable government policies. For example, the recent implementation of nutrient-based subsidy policy that gives a lot of pricing freedom to the industry by keeping the subsidy amount fixed as per the nutrients and allowing the MRP to vary. Now we'll be focusing on our investment rationale, that is the reason behind our buy recommendation. The first and the foremost will be the strong management. As you know, CIL's management has its track record of acquiring and turning around companies over the years, and growing forward, we are expecting this inorganic growth strategy to continue and CIL to derive positive synergy from its acquisitions henceforth. Moving ahead, the strength of the management can further be manifested by a sound corporate governance. For example, the segregation between the supervisory and the executive level, more than average disclosure in the financial statement, and the already having succession plan of the company in place. As you can see, CIL fares well in comparison with its peers in various other parameters, which actually gives a lot of potential to CIL as a whole. Moving ahead, with the high market penetration, CIL is having its dominant market position in 5 out of 8 key markets, out of which it is having highest market share of 62% in Andhra, which itself represents the second biggest fertilizer market with 14% share. Also, CIL is having a good market share in other key markets also. Talking about the ambitious expansion plan of CIL, which is actually supported by the increased production capacity. Recently, CIL is planning to increase its production capacity by 24% by FY13, and we also believe that there is a lot of growth potential to the retail business of the company. As of now, the company is deriving 60% of its fertilizer sale through the nearly 450 stores in Andhra, and going forward we are expecting 1,000 more stores to come up in the key markets by FY14. This is actually giving the company and the retail business an alternative distribution channel, and also helps increase the customer reach specifically to the rural sector. Going ahead with the strategic alliances, as we know, the fertilizer industry as a whole is basically like suffering from the lack of raw material supply. But as an hedge against this, CIL actually has its long-term contracts all over the globe, and currently it is drawing 60% of its raw material from all these backward linkages. Going forward, with Typhort in Tunisia becoming operational, we are expecting 20% more of its raw material to be derived from this. Not only that, the backward linkages, CIL has its plant at Vizag, where it is actually producing 20% of the phosphoric acid as its raw material through backward integration, and also the state-of-the-art plants at Vizag and Kakinada is actually allowing the company for a low conversion cost with technical innovation, and the strategic positioning of these two plants actually giving or allowing the company to achieve a low freight cost. Now that will be all for the investment rationale. The financials will be taken over by Abhishek.
When we look at the income statement of companies, sales of CIL is expected to grow at a CAGR of 13% on the back of increasing volume sales, and EBITDA margin of the company is going to expand, is expected to expand in future, as there would be greater contribution from high margin non-subsidy based business. CIL will enjoy asset linked tax benefit worth 115 crore rupees in FY13, and in the same year PAT margin will peak out to 10.2%. Here we can say that every increase in sales is passed on to investors through through growing EPS through its operational efficiency. When we look at the balance sheet of company, total loan fund of CIL is expected to decrease as company is planning to repay its loan, and at the end of FY14, company will have nearly 1500 crores of cash balance, which translates into rupees 50 per cash, rupees 50 cash per share to investors. Here we can say one thing, that strong balance sheet will help pursuing CIL its long-term inorganic growth strategy by giving it financial flexibility. We have also done DuPont analysis. Considering the post special dividend that company has announced to debenture, ROE of CIL is expected to grow, and it is far higher than its industry average. There are two major benefits of this special dividend. First, they are deferring their cash flows, and second, leveraging on their low debt to equity ratio, they are generating higher ROE. We have also done peer group analysis. We have considered 3 peers, and we have ranked them on the basis of earnings quality, capital usage, balance sheet strength, and valuation. And on the basis of cumulative score, we can say that CIL stands best among its peers. Going forward, Abhishek will take.
I will take you through the valuation and risk analysis part. We have valued CIL using combination of 2 methods, DCF valuation method and P multiple analysis. Based on this, we arrive at a target price of 397, which gives us an upside of 36% based on current market price. Moving ahead with the DCF analysis, we have done a 3-stage DCF analysis based on which the fair value of the company is rupees 406 per share. We think that this value is justified based on the strength of its balance sheet and substantial cash position that the company enjoys. Moving ahead with the PE band, we have constructed a PE band, and we see that company has been continuously re-rated in last 2 years. This re-rating we expect to continue because of the deregulation by Government of India. However, we take a conservative approach, and we give 11 times price earnings to its FY13 forward earnings. This gives us a target price of rupees 388. Having looked at valuation, we are well aware that CIL is aggressively priced in relation to its peers. We wanted to understand why is it so. So we came in with the concept of excess returns. As you can see, CIL gives excess returns, substantial excess returns in compared to its peers, for which the market is rewarding it in the form of higher price to book ratio. Now the next obvious question is, if the market is already pricing it in, then what's in it for investors in future? The answer to this is growth. We have looked at 2 years forward peg ratio, and we see that CIL is still the most aggressive. CIL is still the most preferred stock in the market compared to its peers. We have also factored in certain upsides to our valuation. If all these happens, then there are further upside to our target price. First is organic opportunity of SSP plant in Punjab. Next is inorganic opportunities that company can take, and third one is turnaround of SOGL that company has recently acquired. We have done a crude valuation of SOGL, and we arrive at a target price. We arrive at a fair value of rupees 34. If everything goes well, we see an upside of rupees 34 to our current target price. If anything goes wrong, there is no downside. We have done a risk matrix, and based on the risk matrix, we identify 4 major risks to the company. Looking at the current market situation, exchange rate is the most important risk, and company has a short-term and long-term strategy in place to meet this exchange rate risk. In short term, company is completely hedged, and in long term it expects to pass on any price increase to the end consumers. Subsidy policy will help company in improving its working capital management due to the introduction of NBS, nutrient based subsidy. Moving ahead with we have taking all factors into account, we have done a scenario analysis which gives us a best case target price of 474 and worst case price of 343. We have also done a sensitivity analysis which gives us a price range of 388 to 434 in a matter of 18 months. we believe that the target price of 397 is justified with a target upside of 36% based on current market price. Thank you.
Yeah, on one of the charts you mentioned excess returns,
Yes, sir.
which has driven higher price to book multiple for the stock.
Correct, sir.
How do you define excess returns?
Excess return is ROE, return on equity, minus cost of equity. We have for CIL we have taken our own estimates, and for other companies we have taken Bloomberg estimates to get the ROE and cost of equity. We have calculated based on parameters.
Right.
So based on that, we have arrived at excess returns. As we can see, CIL is giving excess return of 21%, whereas other companies are giving very low excess returns. This shows that what market is expecting, they are giving around that, whereas CIL is giving much more than what market is expecting. So this is how we define excess return.
Thank you.
One of the things you mentioned is that they have a exchange rate risk mitigation policy,
Yes,
right?
sir, yes, sir.
Now, given the fact that no one in the last street has understood what has happened to exchange rates in India, can you explain how the company has become so wise?
Yes, sir. We have a proper analysis which Abhishek will take you through.
We have looked into.
Did
We
they
have
tell
looked
you-
into it.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We have looked into it. We have taken two. We have. There are two options. They're looking at the present scenario. Either RBI will intervene in the condition, and there would be no intervention. In case there is no intervention, there are three options for the company. They can increase there could be increase in government subsidy or increase in MRP, which they can pass on after an nutrient-based subsidy policy, and there can be discount from suppliers, which has recently happened in the case as prices are moving up.
I mean, what is the probability you would assign that?
So the
government
probability
subsidy will
to
increase? I mean, government has no money, so how are they going to increase the subsidy here?
a government will not increase subsidy. This is low probability situation. This is a moderate probability with the fact that there has been 80% price rise in DAP, 80% in last 1 year itself. This shows that company has got substantial pricing freedom in last 1 year. So this is what we expect to happen. Apart from that, they recently got discount from suppliers on account of increased, depreciation of rupee. They got a discount of 5% around on their raw materials from their suppliers just on account of rupee depreciation. Now India sources 15%. India comprises of 15% of the entire fertilizer market. So they have huge bargaining power, and they can further get further discounts if rupee depreciates.
Who are the suppliers? Are only one or two suppliers also?
Yeah, what they do is they enter into a joint venture with companies. Like if you take case, the raw materials are highly concentrated in few small countries like Tunisia, for example, Jordan, for example, USA, for example,
Canada, I think.
China,
So
USA.
who has pricing power? Do the suppliers have it
Yeah,
or the buyers have it?
they have formed an association, Fertilizer Association of India, and India as a whole has the pricing power. They negotiate internationally through their association, and that way it takes place.
And one related question is,
Yes, sir.
for every 10% depreciation of the rupee, what is the impact on profits?
Sir, if you say in that way, the absolute EBITDA increases due to depreciation in rupees because the selling price increases, as everything is linked to international parity prices. So in absolute terms, their EBITDA their EPS is not that much impacted. For every 10%, we can expect a 5% or 4% fall in entire profit EPS.
Thank you.
Two questions. One is, what was the rationale in taking 11 as the apt PE ratio? Was there
Currently,
any...
company is trading at a currently, the company is trading at a forward PE of 11.4, and this 11.4 will further be enhanced due to the deregulation that government will undertake in near future, because they cannot afford to pass on the high subsidy continuously. So we have taken a conservative approach, and we have given the current market PE to its FY13 earnings.
What I mean is that in India there are no comparables, but are
Correct.
there any global comparables of fertilizer companies?
So we have
and
looked
what-
into the global comparables, but it would be diverting you from the main theme, because all of these international companies are backward integrated in a sense that they are mining their own nutrients, but this company does not mine their own
So
nutrients.
what PE are they trading at?
They are trading at 12 to 15, depending
So
on
if
the
someone
company.
is already backward integrated and someone who's dependent on outside, then for a global investor, are they better off buying something which is more secured and
Right,
more
sir.
clear?
Right, sir. they are producing, they have the production right, but they don't have the power to sell. Power to sell, I mean demand side, what drives them? Turnover, top line. They don't have the top line. Top line is driven by Indian companies. They have the top line. We have population. People will not stop eating and people will not stop buying food. So here is where the top line comes. And here is what the strength of the company is. They are driving the consumption story of India.
The second question is, you have shown profit of FY12 to be 7,037 million or 7 billion rupees. But your shareholder funds in fact fall. What is the reason for that? What happens in FY12 that the whole profit, either the whole profit is distributed as dividend or what happens?
They have come out with a new special dividend issue based on which they are distributing 500 crores in the form of special dividends. This is a primary reason for the fall in shareholders fund, basically. I mean 700 crores, out of that 450 crores is just gone out in terms of dividend.
And the balance?
And the balance, I think...
you must be having some working, no?
Yeah, sure.
Where the shareholder funds are going. Just open the cash flow, no? You have the cash flow right there.
So that is valuation part. That is free cash flows, not the operational cash flows. Yes, sir.
Anyway, it's fine, no problem.
Yeah.
You have any question?
My question has to do with...
Yes, sir. That 250 crores I got the reminded. I got it now.
No, I want to see the sheet. You finish this question and show me the sheet.
My question has to do with the pricing of the raw materials.
Yes,
I see you did cover it in your risk analysis, but at the worst, you were only expecting a 5% above average amount of inflation. And I think I'm hearing you assume that they're going to be able to pass all costs through. So if we get something worse than a 5%, or at least a 5% at your worst case, you also are assuming a complete pass-through of those costs?
So
and an increase in subsidies?
Increase in subsidy is what we don't expect right now, looking at the fiscal situation of the government. But we do expect that they can pass on the price increase to the end consumers. The third point is, the most highly probable is the discounts from suppliers. These raw materials are already trading at their around their lifetime highs. So we expect the prices to cool down in near future. If they don't cool down, in any case, we have bargaining power, will drive the price down. We have done that in muriate of potash. Government declared a potash holiday for 6 to 7 months, and no company sourced their potash. Eventually, government has to come down. Eventually, the international suppliers has to give them Indian suppliers some discount so that they start buying.
And there is one more thing, like the new capacities are coming for phosphoric acid and other raw materials. So out of that, 85% of the tradable, that spot market will be taken by India. It would be directly through the agreements. So there would be a less demand in spot market what there is right now. So prices may cool down.
And
There are good chances that they will cool down.
And you honestly feel that it will not, there's no chance it'll rise above 5% above the expected?
We never know about market speculation, but we strongly believe that it will not increase more than 10%, you can say, not more than that. It is already trading their highest levels.
But that's not in your scenario analysis. So 5%
is what we expect in realistic sense.
In your relative ranking method for peer group analysis, you've used a parameter called earnings quality, where this company's got #1 ranking.
Right, sir.
What is the definition of earnings quality?
Right, sir. We'll show you.
So conceptually, what has gone into...
Yes, sir. I'll explain you the entire process, what we have done. What we have done is we have taken earnings quality, in that we have considered two ratios, that is EBITDA margin and operating cash flow to sales, as you can see. Similarly, we have taken two ratios in capital usage, and same goes on with balance sheet and valuation. What we have done is, based on each of these ratios, we have ranked them and we have arrived at a cumulative rank.